product provided by Nintendo, specifically Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. Hello everybody, bald fat dude on the internet here to give you more takes no one asked for. For today's video, let's talk about how should you start Xenoblade Chronicles. I've seen quite a few people on Twitter dive into the franchise for the first time ever and have a lot of questions. How should they approach the games? What order should they play them in? And is Xenoblade even a right fit for you? Well, in today's video, let's address that. I am someone who absolutely adores Xenoblade Chronicles, and I've been playing the franchise since about 2015. With the original Wii U, yeah, I'm one of the 12 people that have a Wii U version of Xenoblade Chronicles X. I then moved on to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and then I played Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition when it came out, and then Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and then all the DLCs intermittently. I say that because I played them quite a few times. And I hope my perspective, at least in the franchise, is able to help anyone that is new that wants to get into Xenoblade Chronicles, or has already started to dive into it and is just kind of lost. Let's start with the most obvious question I think a lot of people have. Where do you start? There are 4 entire Xenoblade Chronicles games. You have Xenoblade Chronicles 1, where its Switch version is called Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. You have Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and you have Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. I will always recommend playing in release order, but with Xenoblade Chronicles, it gets a little bit tricky. My recommendation, if you just want to follow a guide, or at least someone's idea as to what you should do, start with Xenoblade Chronicles 1. I think that game is supremely beginner-friendly. They all are. It's just especially Xenoblade Chronicles 1, in my opinion. Then move on to Xenoblade 2. Then move on to Xenoblade 3. Then move on to Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. We don't need to overthink this. That's honestly the biggest piece of advice I can give, is just honestly don't overthink how to start Xenoblade Chronicles. Just like pick the game that looks the most appealing to you and dive right on into it. Whether that be 1, 2, 3, or even X. It's like, yeah, maybe you miss out on a few little details here and there. By the way, all these games are connected, but they are written in such a way where you can consume them perfectly fine as self-contained narratives. It's just those self-contained narratives are connected. But if you wanted to start with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, a lot of people have done that, and you can play Xenoblade 3 and not feel as if you're missing out on much at all. You can perfectly enjoy and probably fall in love with the game, and then when you go back, ideally, to Xenoblade 1 and 2, you'll be like, oh, I recognize that from Xenoblade 3. Oh, I can spot that connection now. It wasn't necessary to understand the story of Xenoblade 3, but that's a nice little connection, and I can see how these stories go from A to B to C. A lot of the Xenoblade games, in fact all of them, feel very different to each other, but have like these distinct elements that make them all feel like Xenoblade Chronicles, but they specialize and focus in on different things and aesthetics. And chances are, the game that will be your favorite in terms of Xenoblade Chronicles will be the game that just appeals to you initially the most. I have my own order of what my favorite Xenoblade games are, but they are all in pretty much my top 20 games of all time. My 2 personal favorites are Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. Not necessarily in that order, because the elements in those games specifically appeal to me, and the themes and the messaging that take place in those games really do appeal to me. So if you're looking at Xenoblade 1 and for whatever reason, again, personal preferences and all that, you're just like, I don't know if I want to start with this one specifically, just look at like screenshots of brief little gameplay snippets of all the games, see which one looks the coolest to you, and just start with that one. You don't need to overthink it. Honestly, the biggest step, in my opinion, is just getting in the door, because once you cross that threshold and you start playing a Xenoblade game, chances are it's going to click, because these games are absolutely incredible. And once that moment happens, you'll just play through them all naturally, and it'll feel like an afternoon. And then you'll look at the calendar and realize months have gone by. These games can grab your soul and like refuse to let go. They are super good. But let's talk about the gameplay, because in my opinion, the most important element of a game is the actual gameplay. Some people have different preferences and all that, and that's absolutely fine, right? But generally speaking, when people play a video game, they want to have fun, they want to enjoy that combat loop, they want to enjoy the things they're doing, the buttons they're pressing. That's an important element of game design, and it's no slouch in Xenoblade Chronicles either. Though, I do think we kind of like run up into what I would argue is Monolith's, the creators of Xenoblade Chronicles, biggest weakness when it comes to game design, and that's actually explaining to you, the player, how the games freaking work. You can play a Xenoblade game and feel like you have a good grasp on what's going on. You can then watch like an Enel guide or one of my guides and be like, Wow, I really did not know what I was doing. I forgot that was even a mechanic. That can happen a lot in Xenoblade. And it can happen because the tutorials are largely just a bunch of text boxes that the game shotguns at you throughout your experience. And then in some games, Xenoblade 2 actually being a prime offender in this regard, they won't introduce like key mechanics until like 30, 40 hours into the experience. That kind of stuff isn't going to be for everyone, but I still think despite that, you can perfectly enjoy all of these games. It's just, in my opinion, the worst thing you can do that would tarnish your own experience with Xenoblade Chronicles, and this goes with any of the games, is trying to rush through them. Especially when you're trying to dive into a new series, you can have that thought in the back of your mind, right? I'm having this thought with me when it comes to another series called Trails, actually. And it's like, oh, I want to experience all of these games, so when the next one comes out, I can be all up to speed. We still have a lot of time until the next Xenoblade Chronicles game actually probably comes out. And honestly, even if it does, like, shadow drop tomorrow, it's not going to, but, like, even if it did, take your time. These games are meant to be slow burns. They are meant to be experiences you engulf yourself in, stop and smell the roses. Look out at the vistas. Monolith are some of the best out there when it comes to creating set pieces. The worlds are gorgeous, despite how wonky the resolution can be at certain times for some of these games. Looking at you, Xenoblade 2. Especially in handheld mode, by the way. But like, these games are absolutely captivating to behold, and the music is just so... I don't want to use a bunch of big words, but like regular words feel as if they're inadequate to explain how captivating and enthralling the music and the visual set pieces and the imagery and the use of color that these games have. It's some of the best in the entire industry, honestly. And this goes to show just how much you can make a game look so gorgeous and pretty without the need for it to be like hyper-realistic or anything like that, or to push the most like top-end graphics in the entire industry. You don't need that stuff. You just need a great artistic vision, and that is something that Monolith has in spades. It's like oozing from every pore. These games just have an aesthetic, and they're so good. And each of the games, funnily enough, has their own little aesthetic, but they all feel like Xenoblade Chronicles at the same time. It's one of the things that's really hard to explain, but like when you play them, you'll get it. It's kind of similar in style to say like the older Final Fantasy games, where they are all different to each other and have their own like aesthetics and themes and stuff like that, but they still have that Final Fantasy DNA. The same can apply to Xenoblade Chronicles on the whole. So I would recommend, don't try to rush through these games. You'll end up missing stuff, and you probably won't appreciate these games as much as you would had you just stopped to smell the roses. And when it comes to the combat, take it slow. You don't need to be some like world first high-end player to play and appreciate these games. A lot of the times, these games have modes that are harder, and if you want a challenge, you can go down that path. But if you just want a relatively easy experience, Xenoblade also provides that. But when it comes to the gameplay, if you're willing to just stop and please, for the love of God, read, and just take things one at a time, I think the combat will just unravel itself before you, and you'll start to make sense of it. It's rather simple. The game operates on this system called arts. You are given a variety of arts depending on the character or class. It kind of depends on the game. And these arts do different things. The combat is you just press them. There's a lot of depth and complexity to them when you get into the actual experience, but like as a TLDR, that's kind of how the game works. You will get a bunch of different arts. They have their own things they do. You just press them. It's one of the reasons I argue Xenoblade 1's a really good introductory experience, because that is like largely the combat loop of Xenoblade 1. You just get this one horizontal bar for each of the characters. You have all the art. There's a lot of customization in the game, and it can be really fun. But when you're in the thick of it, insert KSI meme here. When you're in the thick of it, it's rather simple. And it's decently paced, so you can really understand how the combat works, because that overall flow largely carries itself to the other games. They all have their own differences, but they behave largely the same. It's just like some of the games will give you a long horizontal bar, and you'll just like scroll with the D-pad over the buttons you want to hit. Some games like Xenoblade 2 and 3 will map the buttons to your controller. So like you'll have arts here, here, and here, and you'll have arts here, here, and here. And if you want to press the art, you just hit the button. It's very simple. We don't need to overthink it. Well, you can overthink it. If you want to really lose yourself in getting better at these games, putting out a bunch of damage and stuff like that, you absolutely can. But if you just want to enjoy the games, you don't need to overthink it either. And if you get confused about anything, or you're feeling as if you're not fully understanding how one of the games work, there are plenty of online guides. Enel's the big one to go to. I have made quite a few guides for games like Xenoblade 3 and X Definitive Edition as well. I tend to find with the Xenoblade community, and especially in my community, if you have questions, there'll be people that are ready and willing to answer. Also, a lot of the times, the mechanics in the games, while there can be a lot of them, each individual mechanic is largely self-explainable. It's like, oh, back attack does more damage when you're behind an enemy, so when you press the button, be behind the enemy. You see what I mean? Oh, this one does more damage if I'm at the enemy's side, so if I'm gonna hit that button, move my guy to be at the side of the enemy. Job done. Oh, this button heals me. Or like in Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Oh, this button puts down a circle on the ground where if I'm standing in it, or any of my characters are in it, they get healed. So if I'm hurt and I need to be healed, I can put that down and then just stand in it. I don't think these games are some like overly complicated like mess of mechanics or anything like that. It just, sometimes it can require taking a step back and saying, am I doing this right? Also remembering to keep your characters up to date. Look, I suffer from this as well. Sometimes I just forget to level up my characters and their arts. Just like check the menus every now and then, trust me. I'm not doing all that much damage nowadays. I wonder what's going on. Oh, I never upgraded any of my abilities that do damage. That explains it. So yeah, if you want my recommendation for which Xenoblade games to tackle first, I would say go for Xenoblade 1, then 2, then 3, then X. Some people might say, well, Jmulls, didn't you say go in release order? Didn't the original Xenoblade Chronicles X come out between Xenoblade 1 and 2? So shouldn't it actually be 1, then X, then 2, then 3? Yes, but they recently did a remaster of Xenoblade Chronicles X called Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. That is the latest release, and they added a new epilogue onto it. And in my experience, and in my opinion, that epilogue is best experienced when you have already played Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3. You can argue you can play 1, 2, and 3 whichever order. My opinion, personally, as someone who is a giga nerd when it comes to Xenoblade, save X Definitive Edition for last. You don't have to. That's just my recommendation. Go to 1, then 2, then 3, then X, because I view that to be the best experience. That doesn't mean you have to play it like that, and if you think you'll enjoy yourself more by doing it in a different order, go for that. It's just, if you want a guide, if you want an order to play through, 1, 2, 3, then X. And when you're playing a game, play its like DLC expansion thing. So a full list would be Xenoblade Chronicles 1, then Future Connected, then Xenoblade Chronicles 2, then Torn of the Golden Country, then 3, then Future Redeemed, then X. Definitive Edition specifically. Don't feel the need to rush from one game to the other. Take your time, immerse yourself. You have some of the best games of all time, and I genuinely mean that, ahead of you. Just stop and smell the roses, because you can only experience these games for the first time once. Also, I would recommend just, maybe if you want to, when you beat them all, replay them, because the foreshadowing in these games is actually kind of crazy, and chances are that you will miss a few things. And I always tend to find, when it comes to Xenoblade games, I appreciate them more as time goes on. The more I think about them. They are a thinking man's game. You play them, you think about them, you realize, oh, that was cool. Oh yeah, that was really cool. That was awesome, dude. That's awesome too. And it's just, the more you think about them, the more you talk about them, the more there is to love and appreciate. So here's where you come in. If you are a veteran of Xenoblade Chronicles, leave a comment down below with your best tip or tips for any new blood coming into the series for the first time. What do you think they should be on the lookout for? Would love to hear your tips. And if you're new, or you just got into Xenoblade Chronicles, how you feel about it? What are you feeling going into it? Do you have any questions? Leave a comment down below. While you're down there, please leave a like and subscribe if you liked the video and you want to see more content. I know I would appreciate it. Stay safe, have a great day. Follow me on TikTok, Twitch, and Twitter, Jmulls. I have a Discord in the description down below. Feel free to swing on by and ask some questions or just join in some casual banter. Stay safe, have a great day. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Oh, and one more thing. How's it poppin'?